Welcome to Can You Use Disney Transportation if you stay off-site? If I had made this video about 6 months ago, the answer would just be yes. Like there's no other further explanation, just you can, they don't check, there's nothing that goes along with it. But recently there is one little tiny change that I think we will start to see more often. So I thought I would kind of explain how they've started implementing it and how I think it may start to transform as they kind of get more data about it. So the one circumstance where you may not be able to use Disney's transportation if you're staying on site is the Disney Springs buses. So something that they started to do, they did this on New Year's Eve 2025 going into 2026. If you were trying to get a bus from Disney Springs to anywhere else, they were checking to see if you had a resort reservation so that you were staying on property that night, or if you had like a dining reservation or like a spa reservation, some actual valid reason why you needed to be taking that bus to that resort. That was the first time they ever implemented that because it was just very, very busy. And I think they were just kind of testing out some different ideas and methods for going forward. But the reason the Disney Springs bus situation is so different from everywhere else is for all of the time that Disney has existed, Disney Springs parking has been free. So people would be like, oh, well, I can just park at Disney Springs and take a bus to the theme park, and then I don't have to pay for parking at the theme park, which is now like $35+. And so Disney, years and years and years ago, decided they weren't going to do direct transportation between Disney Springs and the theme parks. So you could still do that, but you'd have to take a bus to a resort somewhere first. So you could take the bus to like the Contemporary and then just walk into Magic Kingdom, or Grand Floridian and walk into Magic Kingdom. But there was always going to be another step, so that if you wanted to do that, it just would be super inefficient. Like it's not something that you can do for rope drop because you're just not going to get there early enough. It's only if you're going kind of, like middle of the day kind of hours. So Disney stopped doing direct access to just kind of deter people from gaming the system like that. So when they expected buses to be super busy, they're like, well, if these specific types of people are paying a premium to be, staying at a Disney hotel or actually dining with us or going to the spa, like they're guaranteed to be spending money with us, let's prioritize those people to get transportation to where they need to go. And everybody else, just, too bad, it's too busy, it's not available. So they did this for New Year's Eve. Then they did it for a couple weeks during spring break. And I suspect that for the America 250 celebration for 4th of July, probably that entire weekend, I bet they will implement it. And then they'll probably start doing it for like Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then it'll slowly creep into being more and more frequent. However, the more they do this, I think they're going to refine the system a little bit. So the way it works now, if they implement this while you're there, is they'll have a little mobile device scanner, and they can scan like your Magic Band, or if you have the My Disney Experience app, they have a thing on there that they can look at. And it'll say if you have a hotel reservation or a dining reservation or a spa reservation, and they'll be like, okay, go ahead. Putting in a mobile order for a quick service restaurant does not count. They will just tell you to cancel that order or find some other way to get. So just keep that in mind, that that's not really a reservation. Anything outside of that, you may just have to talk to the cast member that is there to kind of see there. I'm sure there's some other extenuating circumstances or something that it's really going to be a case-by-case basis. And this is what I mean by like, as time goes on, I think they'll refine this process and like what's allowed and what's not and things like that, so that everyone that needs to get somewhere can get there, and that it is still an enjoyable experience, whether you are just visiting Disney just to kind of, resort hop and hang out, or if this is like your actual vacation and you're staying there. So some alternatives: if you do not have a valid reservation and they turn you away from the bus, I have lots of other options that you can do. I go to Disney World all the time, and it's usually like workcations where I will just park at Disney Springs for the day, and then I'll either like do some work on my laptop at Disney Springs or go to different resorts and just, you know, just kind of like be around Disney, get a snack here or there, and just kind of work and just, you know, be at Disney instead of just sitting in a hotel room or a house or something like that. So this probably applies to other people, like annual pass holders or vacation club members who visit somewhat frequently, and you're not always on like your official big Disney vacation when you're visiting. And the reason I wanted to include kind of these other stipulations is that a lot of times Disney has also started implementing this rule of letting you park at the resorts. A lot of the time now, more often than not, you again need to have a valid dining reservation, spa reservation, hotel reservation, or valid reason to be there and park there. So like there was one day, my sister was working, she works at one of the resorts, and I, you know, got into the area early. So I was like, well, I'll just go hang out at a resort and just, you know, get some food from like the food court and whatever. So I get up and security was like, you know, we're only allowing if you have like reservations. So I was like, oh, well, I'm just here waiting for my sister to get off work, and was just going to just kind of resort hop around until she's done. And he was like, well, we're currently not letting people park unless they have valid reservations. So he explicitly said, go park at Disney Springs where it is free, and then you can take transportation to wherever it is you want to go. That is what security's explicit instructions were. So that is why I say I just park at Disney Springs now and then just kind of go do whatever I want to do for the day. Because 9 times out of 10 when I'm visiting Disney, I'm not going to the theme parks. And when I do go to the theme parks, we do park at the theme parks because my family works there, so the parking is free. So it's not a big deal. So when I'm parking at Disney Springs, it's because I'm just kind of roaming Disney for the day. So if you're going to do that, here are some options. So Saratoga Springs Resort is within walking distance. It's on one side of Disney Springs, so you can just walk straight in, and then you can take their buses wherever you want to go. You can also walk all the way to Old Key West. There is a walking path along the golf course, and you can park, or you can walk to the Treehouse Villas, you can walk to Old Key West, and then you can take their transportation to wherever you want to go. You can also take the boat. Disney Springs has a boat that goes to Saratoga Springs, Treehouse Villas, Old Key West, Port Orleans French Quarter, and Port Orleans Riverside. And then once you get there, you can take a bus to wherever you want to go. Worst case scenario, if you don't want to walk, if you don't want to have to put in any legwork whatsoever, you can always order a minivan or just a normal Uber, Lyft, taxi, whatever, and those can take you anywhere you want to go on property. They just cost money. And this is linked to like a full guide that explains all of that. How to get around Disney World if you're not staying at a Disney hotel. So I kind of mentioned some things above about the Disney Springs situation, but in general, I have some guides that cover all kinds of different situations that may or may not arise. So you can kind of skim through and see if any of these are like specific questions that you have. I also have some where it's like non-typical Disney things, like Wide World of Sports, Swan and Dolphin, After Hours. So these are kind of like extenuating circumstance type situations. And then these are like if you have like mobility issues or a large group or small kids, like different stipulations for that. But generally navigating Disney is very straightforward, and you don't usually need to be an actual on-site guest to do that. It's just Disney Springs sometimes right now, but that could always change. And then lastly, I do have a guide for deciding if it's worth relying on Disney's transportation or driving yourself, especially if you're off property. So that is everything I have for can you use Disney transportation if you stay off-site?